Hey everyone, it's Preeti, and I'm back from my silent 10-day Vipassana journey. And I feel so incredible right now. Um, my heart is so full, and I'm so full of happiness and peace. Yeah, I feel so liberated. Like yeah, words can't even describe how good I feel right now. I feel so clear. I literally just got home like not too long ago. I just thought I'd make this video now since it's only been a couple hours since I left the retreat center. So I'm vibrating pretty high. Yeah, this was quite the experience, I have to say. So I don't even know where to begin. It was so profound and it was deep. It was really deep. I mean, I don't think everyone might have had as deep of an experience, but a lot of people did. And I guess it depends on how diligently you worked, but I definitely feel like now I have techniques, tools that I'm going to be able to use, that I'm going to meditate with every day, that are going to help me. I just really, really help me stay this way, you know? So, Vipassana. Vipassana. It is it is a great it is the teaching of Buddha, and it shows you how to stay on the path of Dharma and how to be fully enlightened. And although these 10 days were just the beginning of the path, sticking to the technique can keep you there and get you to become a fully enlightened being. So if somebody struggles with misery and just sadnesses, feeling connected to addictions, finding themselves clinging, filling voids or filling your spaces of lack, or feeling depressed and just, yeah, not peaceful, then this could be actually for you. So the idea is to fully surrender and basically surrender, like no distractions, none, nothing. Like I'm still not used to knowing I have my cell phone. I haven't even looked at any of the messages since the last post I posted. I haven't, and I don't even care. I don't even, it's all like, it actually looks weird to me. I spent so much time in my own for so long, in my own personal prison, purifying myself, that everything looks weird right now. Even this room, even just driving home, it all looked weird. And I wasn't craving my typical habits. I wasn't feeling the need for things that I'm used to doing that I would do. I feel cleansed of bad habits, food habits, mental habits. Anything that was carrying misery wise isn't there at all. Like I'm so at peace. And yeah. It was a really profound journey. So there was three meditations that we had to focus on, but it was in stages. So like for the first 3 days, we practice a specific meditation that focuses on the sensations of the breath going into the nose and out of the nose. Into the nose and out of the nose, from your upper lip upwards into this triangular area. And the idea was to pay attention to the subtle sensations and just observe your respiration. So as you worked through this, it was 3 days of just that. And as you do it, you get better at it, starting to pay attention to the subtleties, but you know, you will feel sensation. But if you feel the strongest part of that sensation, is to be not as focused on as the subtler sensations. So you might notice like cold air going in and warm air coming out. And I found the warm air was something I need to focus more on because you wouldn't feel it as much as the cold air going in, or just even where you're feeling it going, you know? So the idea was that was a prerequisite for the true Vipassana technique that we were shared with on day 4. And this is the true technique. So Vipassana is a technique where you pay attention to the top of your head, feeling any sensations that might be there and working them down, and part by part feeling all these sensations going through you, through your arms, through your body, through your legs. And at first it might take some time to pick up the subtleties, but the first meditation of the breath work wasn't even breath work. It was more like observe your breath. Observe where it is. Don't change it. Just observe it. And so paying attention to the smallest subtlety in that sensation will help you through the Vipassana technique. So it's pretty interesting because meditation for me has never been just sitting and observing. It usually is like guided or like filling myself with light or filling, you know, and I've been meditating since I was 15, so it's been like 20 years. But I've never done just sitting and observing. And this is what the teaching of Buddha is. Let's observe. And through the observations, not to judge anything, not to label anything, not to give it any importance. You might feel tingles, you might feel heat sensations, you might feel itchy, you might feel sore, you might feel heavy, you might feel thick, you might feel light, you might whatever you're feeling, it doesn't matter. You just observe. And if you feel itchy, the idea is not to react. So that was the biggest part, is about observe and not react. And this is what Gwenka, the teacher, our Buddha, he would explain, like, observe and not react and just allow it to be whatever it is. And the idea is that's what's actually, you would call it brain surgery. He's like, you're undergoing brain surgery so that you're rewiring your brain so that you don't react in your daily life. When things come up, you observe the situations, you observe what's happening, but you're not reacting. You're not getting defensive. You're not getting sad. You're not getting angry. And if you feel those things, the idea is just to observe the sensations in your body. That's it. And the more you observe it, it will rise, it will fall, it will rise, it will fall. You'll notice, and he talked a lot about rising and falling. And what he means is that it's like the art of dying. Like, everything is impermanent. Those sensations, they're impermanent. If you feel something now, you might not feel it later. That's how impermanent it is. So the idea, and he gave a lot of great examples of what this meant. Like, right now I'm this person, but when I left, I was different. So I had died. That person has died. And now I'm born again. Tomorrow, same thing. I will die today, but I will be born again tomorrow. But everything in life is the same. And he gave some really neat examples. He's like, if you look at a flame, a candle flame, he's like, it rises and it's gone. Dies. Rises, it dies. And you think it's the same flame, but it's not the same flame. It comes up and it goes. Comes up and it goes. It comes up and it goes. So same with the lights in your house. Like, you think that's the same light, but it's rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, at a rapid speed that you think it's the same length. So he gave this really cool example, and it made so much sense. And he said, if you were to jump in a lake, and you've jumped in that lake lots of times, and you say, oh, I've jumped in that thousands of times. He's like, it's not the same lake. It's a different lake every time you jump in it, because the water you touched that day has now gone away. And now there's new water. So it's not the same lake. And you're not the same body. And those cells and that person you touched, that water, is not the same. So that's the state of impermanence. Every moment is impermanent. It'll rise and it'll fall. So the truth is, the observations of scanning through yourself and sensing these sensations is that it will rise and it will be gone. It's the impermanence, and something will rise and go, rise and go, rise and go. It's not about pulling it out or changing it or being like, oh, that's because of this. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So it was deep. And so, yeah, so it was really neat when we were learning that Vipassana technique. At first, when it was introduced to me, I felt so much stuff. I had the sensations of like tingles and pains and itches and soreness, and I felt light and I felt heavy and I felt thick at one point, but it went away. And as I kept doing it, each time we meditated, it was different. It was lighter. It was different. But the first time I'd done it, it was very emotional for me. I was really bothered when I was doing it. I was like, oh, I really want out of this. I'm sitting there and I'm feeling these sensations, and I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable. I can't wait till we're done. I can't wait till we're done. And then when we came out of it, I was shaking, trembling, crying. Something had released. Something was releasing. And then after, it wasn't so intense anymore. It felt subtle, but not to be attached to the feeling of good feeling either. Because good feelings don't last forever either, because misery does come, but again, that will go. Just as the good feeling will come and that will go. And the reason we get sad is we get attached to the good feeling, and it's gone. You're like, wah, I want that. And then you feel like I'm craving and clinging, and that's the idea, is to be not reactive, being okay with the moments. So it was teaching me, although I was sitting there going, I can't wait till this is over. It was an experience. I'm like very different from all the times I meditated after, where I didn't feel that way. I was like sitting there feeling sore, and I'm like, oh, I have these itches in my legs, and I have to sit here and just observe. And it was cool, but that was the challenge. But after a while, you don't react, because your brain wiring is beginning to change. And at one point, I think a few days in, 3 days in, where I was going through it, and I wasn't feeling a whole lot of stuff, but I was soft energy, soft feelings, sensations. And somewhere in my abdomen, I wasn't thinking about anything but observing these feelings. By the time I got to my abdomen, I got this strange flashback of my childhood, of something I would never, ever have thought about. It would have been a memory that totally just disappeared and been gone. Would never thought to think about that ever. Never, ever. So, very odd memory came out, and it wasn't like a big deal memory, but it brought up a lot of emotion, and all of a sudden, the tears just started pouring out of me. Something had risen deep within, came out. And that was the idea. And that's the idea, observe. Because as you observe, the deep stuff starts to change. The chemicals start to change. And like, the way we're conditioned and patterned is unwiring and undoing itself. So something came up and out. And I didn't realize that would have come out. And I did have a few other flashbacks and other moments, and they were so far back from like grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And I'm like, I wouldn't think that far back ever. But really cool. Really, really cool what was coming up. So it was powerful. I doubted, I don't want to say I doubted at first. I was just like, what's the purpose of all this? Why are we observing our breath, respiration? But each day it became clearer because there was these discourses in the evening explaining what you're going through and what this is about. Why are we doing this? Why are we observing our sensations? Why are we it made so much sense. Like, it made so much sense. And at the end, so we had this other meditation, day 10, yesterday. It was called Metta, and it basically, after you do the Vipassana meditation, if you feel really clear and you're good, you do Metta, which is basically like getting to your heart center and just wishing love, wishing peace, wishing harmony and freedom and liberation and salvation, and just sending it out, sending it out, sending it out. And I would get so emotional. There were these chants, though, that I would just hit tears because it was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And I could still cry. If I heard that chant again every time, I would probably just be like, so beautiful. Tears of beauty, not tears of misery, tears of beauty. Like, so good. I'm just so heartful right now. It was just a really interesting experience. And I mean, you have to be really diligent because you're there to practice. There's people there taking care of you so that you could just be with you and focusing on you. You're basically in your own personal prison of purifying yourself. And he described it like that day 1, which I was actually feeling like that before I had gone. And I had people like saying, you're being negative. And I'm like, that's how I feel. And he would always call out how I felt at the end of the day at these discourses, because he's like, well, now you're in prison. Now you're 9 more days. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, it's exactly how I feel. And in my room at times and like by myself and like can't talk to anyone. No one could talk to me. And that's important too, that you don't talk to people because they don't want to share experiences that you're having or hear other people's experiences that they're having and thinking, oh, I want to have that experience. I'm not experiencing that. They're having that experience. I want to experience it. And then you're sitting in meditation going, I want to feel this. But then you're attached and you're clinging and you're desiring instead of observing what's yours. And everyone's different. Everyone's experience is different. So you can't judge even my experience and say, oh, I'm going to have this wonderful experience. You're going to have your own unique experience. So it was pretty intense. Like, the schedule was like the same every day. And the first bell rings at 4 a.m. and then the second bell rings at 4:20 to make sure you're up. And then the idea is to either meditate in your room or you go to the main hall and meditate at 4:30 till 6:30. And then we had breakfast. And when you go there, like I scheduled my showers for 7 a.m. So after breakfast, I would go and shower. So when you get there first day, there's like a list in the hallway that says what time of day you're going to shower and that you're not disrupting anybody because you're not going to be like, oh, you're going to use the shower. I want to use the shower. Like, so the idea is just go with your schedule and there's no discrepancies. So after breakfast, I'd go shower, and then by 8 a.m., we all had to meet at the main meditation hall, and the chants would come on, and the instructions from Gwenka would come on, and we would meditate for an hour. And then the chants would come on, and that would be the end of that hour. But then you take a little break, and you could come back. You come back to the hall, and you get instructions from the teachers there, not Gwenka. It's like an audio of Gwenka, and there's videos of Gwenka, but the teachers there are more like guides. They're not really talking to you very much unless you schedule an appointment to talk to them if you have questions. So you could technically talk to somebody if you needed it, but the rest of the time it's noble silence. And you break into noble silence before day one starts, when you get there and you set up, and there's a first meditation at night, and then you go into noble silence, and then the next day you're in the routine at 4 a.m. and then whatever. So yeah, the first main sit-in was from 8 to 9. And then after that, you could stretch out a little bit, come back to the main hall, and they give you a suggestion of either you can continue meditating in the hall or you can go to your residential quarters and meditate there. So, so you continue meditating after until about 11 o'clock. And then 11 o'clock there was lunch. And the lunches and the food there are all vegetarian. I honestly felt like, not that I've ever gone to a soup kitchen, but I felt like a homeless man's going to a soup kitchen in my coat and my hoodie and my hats and my gloves, and I'm like grabbing my food and sitting at a wall next to people. Like, you're not sitting in front of people, you're sitting at a wall with tables and chairs just lined up next to you, so you have people next to you eating their food. So you're still continuing your noble silence. So after lunch there's a break. It's like a rest period, they call it. So it's your time. It's not meditative time. I mean, it is. If you're going out for a walk, you're doing a walking meditation, right? So, and they have a really cute little path there in the forest. There's beavers there. There's a water at the bottom. I mean, it was a little steep cliff to get to the water, but you could see all the chewed marks in the trees, and it was really cool. It was neat. So it was a nice little outlet to have, is to go on that walk. And there was some really beautiful snowfalls up north. I'm talking about Barrie. I was in Egbert, Ontario doing this, Canada. So yeah, there's definitely a few snowfalls. I mean, it is December. And so it was like a winter wonderland. It really was. I loved it. But anyways, so you had your time till about 1 o'clock. So from lunch, after you eat lunch till 1 is your time. You can nap if you wanted to. Because really, you're not going to be reading a book and doing some yoga, because those are all distractions. You had to surrender everything. So then the bell would ring at like 1 a.m. 1 p.m. And the idea, again, was to either meditate in your room, or you could go to the main hall and meditate if you want to, up till about 2:30. And then 2:30, it was mandatory to go to the main hall and meditate as a group till 3:30. And then after that, you take a little break, stretch out a bit, come back after like 10 minutes, and you could either meditate there or go to your room, or whatever the teacher's instructions were for that day, because each day was a little different. So after about 2:30, and after about 3:30, then there was up till about, I guess, 3:30 till about 5 o'clock was your own meditation time. And then 5:30, if you were a new student, you got to go to the dining hall and get some tea and some fruit. But if you were an old student, a continuing student, then you would only get tea, no fruit. So there's no dinner. That was it. So it was breakfast and lunch that we had, like meals, and then a tea break at 5:30. Then at between 6 and 7, you had to meditate as a group again in the main hall. So for another hour. So that's 3 hours of mandatory sit-ins as a group. Yeah, so that would be the last hour chunk of the day. And then there were the evening discourses that Gwenka explains. So there's a projector that puts this on the wall, and you watch like whatever you need to watch for that day, that he wanted to tell you about the technique and why you're doing these things, what are the reasons, and examples and stories. And he was so cute, and he was actually quite comical at times. You'd hear us all like kind of laughing at ourselves, because we were like, yeah, kind of like sit there, meditate, and open one eye and say, like, looking around going, everyone looks so peaceful. I'm like itchy and like move around. But everyone feels that way, and we're all laughing because we're all thinking it. So it was just really cool. And then after the discourse, there was probably about half an hour where we would meditate again in the hall, and then you go to your room and you get ready, and 10 o'clock lights were out. So from like between 9 to 10, it was your time to unwind and go to bed and get ready for bed. And so your day started at like 4. I mean, some people napped it. I know they did. And I'm not going to deny there was a couple of days I didn't actually get up, but I did actually some days too, and I was very diligent about it. But you're going till 10 o'clock at night. So I have to also say I found it very fascinating, because I'm not one to actually go through a lot of dreams when I sleep at night. A lot of my friends know that. I don't dream a lot. I don't know why, but I just don't dream a lot. But while I was out there, I had the most vivid dreams. Probably the only entertainment I had was my dreams. I was always like kind of looking forward to bedtime, because I would wake up and going, whoa. And it was always super cool, because those dreams made a lot of sense for what I was thinking that day. Super cool. Like, just, wow. I was so amazed. But anyways, yeah, I totally look forward to bed. But I don't know how I'm going to be at home, and I don't know. We'll see. But very cool experience, and really cool to be able to talk to people on day 10 and share experiences. It was just really neat, really, really neat. I would definitely do this again. I definitely would. I almost feel like I could even do it yearly. I might not do it yearly. I might just do it when I need it, but I am going to hold my practices. I'm going to aim to get up earlier in the morning. I'm already up early to work out at 6 a.m. or 7 or 9:30, depends on the day. But if I can wake up an hour earlier and meditate, that would be really diligent. And then if I could meditate for an hour before I go to bed, it'd be really great practice. So I'm aiming to stay diligent, because if I stop, I'll lose this beautiful feeling. But I can always go back and purify myself and recenter. But it was amazing. It was so doable. Like, it wasn't as hard as I thought. I was so fearful going, but I felt the fear and did it anyways. And as I was there, I'm like, this is not a big deal. So what? I'm sitting with myself. Whoops, whoop-de-doo. No big deal. It was cool. And the thoughts I was even having throughout the day about things were things or people that I was remembering that I totally wouldn't think to remember or kind of forgot about were coming up. So I thought that was really neat. Just old stuff coming up and out. I'm not carrying all this heaviness. And I don't carry a lot of heaviness, but there were a few things that ate at me this year a little bit. And I was feeling pretty good for a few years, actually. Like, last 2 years, I was good. This year, I don't know, it was different. But I'm looking forward to the new year and what next year's going to bring for me. And I'm going to keep this going. And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from this. I know some people think it's really difficult. Oh, you have to be 10 days. 10 days. Honestly, it didn't, like, now sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, it wasn't that bad. What's 10 days of your whole entire life? Really? What's 10 days? What's 10 days out of the whole entire year even? Like, come on, guys. Like, but they say the week of minds does have a challenge up till day 6. And it was, okay, yeah, I'll agree with that to some degree. Well, I felt really great on day 6. It was very blissful. That the first 3 days, 4 days, 3 days. The first 3 days, I was in tears of misery. I was in misery of tears. I like, not because I was there, and just the stuff I knew I had to deal with. I was dealing with. I started to start thinking about it and looking at it. And it was good because as I was looking at those things and I was learning about Vipassana during the discourses, I kind of understood how to deal with that. And I wasn't getting it before, even though I knew not to. I was like, just let it go. But I was like, why am I not letting it go? Why is it still bothering me? You know, like, but it's not now. I'm so at peace with it. I'm so happy. Yeah, I just feel like I reset my whole life. So yeah, those first 3 days were pretty intense. Day 4, when we learned the actual Vipassana technique and I was shaking and crying. That was probably the only time I really cried that day. It was because of the release I was having. Day 5, I felt so agitated by the end of the day. And it was because of the discourse really triggered a lot. I was talking a lot about misery and like how to free yourself from the misery. And I was thinking about the things I was miserable and I had been carrying and I was thinking about for the first 3 days. And I was agitated because I had to deal with it from a certain angle that I wasn't. And then I woke up day 6. The whole day was so blissful, so peaceful, so happy. It was such a good feeling. I was like, whoa, that's just so different from what I was going through. Day 7 was really good too, except for that moment where I had those tears that came up from the flashback moment. But it wasn't depressing. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't crying out of misery. It was just releasing a little bit from that. Day 8, I felt super blissful again, super good. Day 9, I was like, oh, so happy that day 10's coming and we're going to end noble silence and go into noble speech. So I was really looking forward to talking and sharing with people because I love talking and sharing with people. But I also loved my silence too. I really was glad that I didn't have to talk to anyone because sometimes, you know, you don't always want to talk to people. Well, at least I don't always want to talk to people, but, you know, you come across someone and you're like, oh, hi, how are you, da-da-da, and I was glad I didn't have to make that small talk. It was freeing for me. It was very freeing. I quite enjoyed my silence, but I was quite excited to share and hear other people's experiences. And so we were at the end of it all. If you were to talk in the middle of it all, it would have been really dangerous. Like I was saying earlier, how he was sharing with us that, you know, people might get attached to wanting to feel or experience what you're experiencing. So really important to just deal with your own. So yeah, day 9 felt really exciting because I knew I was coming to the end and I only had one more day, and I knew that day 10 was going to be interesting on its own, a whole nother cool experience. And yeah, in the beginning of the day we did our meditation and we started our Metta meditation, which was the whole heart love vibes, good vibes, fill yourself with good vibes, let them like send out the good vibes. It was like, loved it. And I was so teary-eyed in happiness. And I walked out of there and this one girl was so awesome and she's just like, can I get a hug? And I was like, yeah. I just to connect with someone. It was so awesome. I could cry out of beauty for this one, right? And just, yeah, the connections and feeling like now we can be authentic with each other. Not that we weren't, you know, but we were all going through something together, and then we got to share our experiences together. It was really cool. And it was the last day, and we actually got dinner that day. So it was really cool to sit and have dinner and talk with people, and yeah, you're not just sitting there eating your oranges and drinking your tea, and you're like, oranges again today. It's all good. I don't think I'm going to eat an orange for a while, or an apple. I don't eat bananas, but whatever. I mean, those were their fruit options. But Very cool. And then this morning, packing up, cleaning your room, getting it set up for the next person who would come in there, and leaving. And the drive home was interesting. Yeah, I felt new. I didn't feel like I needed to cling to habits that I would cling to. I didn't even turn the radio on or my music on. I was good. I haven't even turned on any music. I stopped off at a store on the way home because I wanted to pick something up. And it was interesting walking in the store and hearing the music on the store. I was like, I haven't heard music in like so long since my drive there to the retreat. So really cool. Yeah, just driving home was a really neat experience. I drove like once I got off into my like neighborhood, I was like, whoa, everything looks so different. And then I got to my house and I was like, whoa, like everything looks so different. So I don't know, pretty neat. Pretty neat. Yeah, it was quite the experience. I could definitely say this is on my top 3 best experiences of my entire life. Definitely. And I would love to see more people do it, but it will call you. If you need to go, it will call you. It called me. It picked me. So, yeah. I hope this helped you in some way. I know a lot of you wanted to know about my experience, how it was going to go down, what it was about. So that's the gist. If you want to ask me more, you can. I hope I covered a good chunk of it. And yeah. I wish you all peace and love and liberation, happiness. Have a good day, everybody. Peace in, peace out.